Why would a teenage girl from the late Middle Ages carry a stone around? And why would a legendary artist of the Renaissance paint her? And why, oh why, is it one of the most famous paintings in history? Maybe the girl was protesting against cruelty towards animals, and the painter was capturing this historic moment. Maybe she works on a farm and was out and about doing her chores when the artist saw a glimpse of something more. Or maybe something else entirely. I'll give you a hint. It's something else entirely. No, this girl was not the medieval version of Greta Thunberg prancing about in some farm. Instead, this is just a lady and her boyfriend. Wait, what? Let me rephrase. She was a mistress who caused a few postponements to a royal marriage, and the weasel was, well, a symbol. The Lady Within Her Mind by Leonardo Da Vinci is a masterly portrait of, well, not a lady, a teenager. And it was a natural progression of the artist's portraiture style. This story actually starts with a boy from Vinci, a village in the periphery of Florence. Leonardo grew up in the city, learned the trade as an apprentice from his father's friend, and completed his apprenticeship to join the city's artistic guild. Now, the Florentines were proud people, patriotic and loyal to their city. But Da Vinci painted this portrait in Milan, so obviously something is missing somewhere. Leonardo's motivation for leaving the city is not too clear. Milan was a bigger city with a higher population, but he was living with the Medicis at one point. The Medicis were a banking family, great patrons of art coveted by every artist in the city. Oh, and they even have a TV show to their name. So, who knows why Leonardo left them on scene to pursue a Milanese regent? He wrote a letter to the regent of Milan, Ludovico Sforza, in which he presented a little resume and offered some plans for weird contraptions, some weird for the period, some weird even now. Out of the many things he mentions, here are a few. Extremely light and strong bridges, indestructible by fire and battle, mortars that fling small stones almost resembling a storm, and chariots so safe that no body of men, however great, could break them. Other machines he suggests include catapults, mangonels, and trebuchets. After Da Vinci moved to Milan, he tackled some projects. His biggest artistic piece in Milan was a bronze statue of a horse. He was having trouble with it, so the Milanese regent had it melted and turned into a cannon to use in a war. Imagine putting your heart and soul into something, failing, and then your patron rubs salt into your wound by turning that thing into a cannon. After several military projects like siege weapons and engineering projects regarding hydraulics, city planning, and architecture, Ludovico finally commissioned Da Vinci to paint something. A portrait of his favorite mistress. It should be noted that Da Vinci did not give up the arts completely during this Milanese period. In times of peace, he started to work in the arts, sculpture, oil painting, what have you. Sforza set to be married to Beatrice d'Este of the Este family. The marriage would serve a strategic and political purpose, as the Duchy of Ferrara was constantly threatened by Venice and the Papal States. The marriage would ensure a secure alliance between Milan and Ferrara, increasing Sforza's influence and stature. The marriage, however, was postponed multiple times. Sforza was notorious for his visits to his mistress and his penchant for affairs. He had many mistresses, but his favorite perhaps was this one, Cecilia Gallerani. She accompanied Sforza to most places, and many believe that Sforza's true affections lay with her. Sforza's consistent delays made his potential in-laws think he was not going to marry their daughter. Meanwhile, his allies were concerned because they wanted him to get married and have an heir. When his brother married Beatrice's elder sister, Isabel, and impregnated her, he had to concede and hurry. Gallerani was young, a 15-year-old, making her extremely young by modern standards. And guess what? Beatrice was around the same age. But that's how royal and unroyal marriages worked at the time, so no one batted an eye. Anyway, Gallerani belonged to an ignoble family, meaning she was not a noble, not that she was dishonorable in any manner. By her teenage years, she wrote verses in Latin and Italian and was called the Great Light of the Italian language, with some even comparing her to the Greek poetess Sappho. She was married into the house of Visconti, a noble Milanese family, at the age of 6. Yes, she was 6 at the time. She sued for the marriage to be annulled, and in 1487, it was. Sforza was smitten with her, and she became his mistress. She even bore him a son. But as the marriage loomed large, the regent had to shift his focus elsewhere. So in August of 1490, Sforza brought a splendid necklace to Beatrice as a gesture of apology. The two got married that year as per the wishes of their family. The painting was commissioned sometime in 1489 at the height of the Romance. Now, Da Vinci was notorious for never completing his pieces, but this one, he did finish. The portrait was Sforza's love song to Gallerani. Just look at how pristine her clothes are and how sensitively she is rendered in oil. With a black, impersonable background, all our attention is guided towards her. Her counterpose as her shoulders face diagonally to our left and her face faces, diagonally to our right was not a new technique. He was always interested in capturing movement in paint. Or maybe he was putting her at a crossroads to express her social conundrum. That's all well and good, but why the Ermine, you might ask? A reasonable question, I say. After all, who carries around animals that look like that, while wearing clothes that look like that, while sitting for a portrait that looks like that? There are multiple reasons for this absurd choice. The surname Gallerani sounded like Gale, meaning Ermine in Greek, but that might just have been coincidental, because the real reason could be found in a bestiary Leonardo wrote later in life. The Ermine out of the moderation never eats but once a day, and it would rather let itself be captured by hunters than take refuge in a dirty lair in order to not stain its purity. Adding that, the Ermine prefers to die rather than soil itself. A poet symbolizing another poet with nods to purity seems like a rather poetic thing if you ask me. Some experts have suggested that Ermine is related to pregnancy in classical Western literature, so the subject might have been bearing Sforza's child at the time. Once Sforza got married, he was hesitant to consummate the marriage. In the end, the couple became enamored with each other. Sforza, however, had provided living space to Cecilia Gallerani and her son in the castle, and when his wife caught wind of it, she requested their immediate removal. Owing to Beatrice's pressure, Cecilia got married in 1492, to someone else, obviously. Sforza, who became the Duke of Milan, gifted a palace to the newlyweds. I wish someone would give me a palace. Even an apartment would do. Oh, sorry, I just drifted off. Where was I? Oh yes, the new couple. They had 4 children, and Gallerani reportedly sent Leonardo's painting away, since she looked too young and unrecognizable in it. Leonardo then painted The Last Supper and stayed in Milan for a few good years. That is, until Ludovico Sforza was overthrown by the French in 1500. The court painter rushed to Venice, and from there made his way back to Florence. He would return to Milan in 1508, only for another war to force him out again. He spent the final years of his life in Rome and France. The Lady Within Her Mind remains among the very few finished works by the perfectionist polymath. We hope you liked this video and have already hit the like button. Comment down below with your thoughts on this epic sprawling tale. Consider subscribing to the channel to see more stuff like this. And, well, that's it for now. We'll see you guys in the next one.